People who grew up between the 70s and the 90s carry a psychology that almost feels impossible to explain to anyone born after the 2000s. It's like we come from a version of the world that doesn't exist anymore, a world stitched together with silence, freedom, danger, boredom, curiosity, and a childhood that would probably get most parents arrested today. Back then, if you vanished for 5 hours, no one called the police. No one tracked your location. No one panicked. They just assumed you were out being a kid, doing kid things, in a kid world that belonged entirely to you. No smartphones, no GPS, no constant check-ins. Just a bike, a couple of friends, scraped knees, dirt roads, and a simple rule that sounded more like a suggestion. Be home before dark. Sometimes you followed it, sometimes you didn't. And no one freaked out because that's just how life was. And that kind of childhood builds something rare today. A quiet, stubborn confidence that whispers, "Hey, I'll figure it out." Even when you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. But to really understand the mindset of the 70s, 80s, and 90s generation, you gotta look at who raised us. Most of our parents lived through times that were harder than anything we can simulate today. Times shaped by war, recession, scarcity, sacrifice, and the kind of fear that didn't come from screens or imaginations, but from reality. Our parents didn't talk much about their struggles. They didn't complain. They didn't take mental health days. They didn't break down in public. They didn't post quotes about resilience. They just carried on. And without even knowing it, they passed that survival mindset to us. Not by lessons, by example. By the way they woke up early. By the way they worked long hours. By the way they handled pain quietly. By the way they supported each other without taking pictures to prove it. That kind of environment shapes a child more than any motivational book ever could. We learned to grow up early. Responsibility wasn't taught in a classroom, it lived in the house. If something broke, you didn't throw it away. You fixed it. If something went wrong, you didn't panic. You adapted. If help didn't come, well, the help was you. We watched adults around us carry the weight of real life without broadcasting it, and that teaches you something powerful. Life is serious, but survivable. Problems are normal, not a sign the world is falling apart. Responsibility is not a punishment, it's part of being alive. And maybe that's why so many people from the 70s through the 90s feel older than their age. Not physically, but mentally. Their maturity didn't come from therapy or podcasts or inspirational speeches. It came from being face to face with life long before they understood what personal growth even meant. There's something almost poetic about this entire generation. We're the bridge. One foot in a world that was slow, raw, real, human, and quiet. A world where boredom existed, actual boredom, and boredom became imagination. And one foot in a world that's loud, fast, digital, chaotic, and endlessly connected. A world where boredom is extinct, where silence feels unnatural, where attention is a currency, where comparison is constant. We remember life without the internet. We remember what it felt like to truly disappear for a while. We remember the sound of nothing. We remember living in the moment because there was no device pulling us out of it. And at the same time, we're watching a younger generation drown in stimulation. Kids born after the 2000s grew up with a screen in their hand before they could even talk properly. Notifications, videos, messages, scrolling, likes. Their brain has been running at full speed since childhood, and the effects are everywhere. They burn out faster. They get overwhelmed easier. Their attention disappears in seconds. They compare themselves to everyone, even strangers they'll never meet. They feel behind, even when they're doing fine. Their mind never truly rests because their phone never shuts up. Even when they're relaxing, they're scrolling. And scrolling is not rest. It's just another form of being on alert. This new generation is brilliant, creative, open-minded, emotionally aware, technologically fluent, but also exhausted, overstimulated, under pressure, and mentally stretched in ways older generations never had to face. They're growing up in a world that moves way too fast for the human brain, and they're trying to survive it one notification at a time. So here's the real question. Which generation had it harder? The ones who grew up with danger, silence, responsibility, and very little help? Or the ones who grew up with pressure, comparison, overstimulation, and a world that never turns off? The truth is, both generations were tested, just in different ways. One was tested by the outside world. The other is tested by their own mind. So tell me, which side of the bridge were you born on? Before 1980? After 1990? Somewhere in the middle? And if this made you think differently, hit subscribe. Around here, we go deeper every single day. And if you want to connect with people who get it, people who think like you, feel like you, remember what you remember,